I've just spent the past several weeks working on a goal. That goal being to cover every inch of my layout with either permanent or temporary scenery, ground cover, or whatever. And I've done that, and I want to show you that in this video. If you like what you see by the time we're done, make sure and subscribe, and welcome to It's My Railroad. Hey rail fans, welcome back to my hobby room. Let's get started here at the Bentleyville Yard. This is the last scene that I still need to paint and ballast some track and do some stuff too, but I'm actually gonna build this all the way out. And I got some videos coming up on some of this, but to give you some highlights, here's what I did. Inside the yard, I wanted to raise the grade up closer to the top of the railhead. So what I did is I used my hot wire table and cut some extruded foam board the right thickness, applied some construction adhesive, and then just put all that into place. Then I took a coarse sanding sponge and sort of sanded that relatively smooth. Then I covered all that with one of my go-tos, which is drywall joint compound. I put it on as thin as I could. Once it dried, I sanded it off. Then I went through and I put in some control joints, painted things concrete and asphalt, and then applied the basic ground cover. Now, as we move forward, I'm going to paint and ballast the track, then put on some more ground cover, some more scenery, and then finish out all these structures and have a really cool yard. Incidentally, sidebar, all these structures, plus the one I'm gonna put here for my maintenance of way yard, are all illuminated with LEDs. I'm pretty happy with the way this is coming out, but there's some other things I wanna show you. Let's head over and take a look at historic Switch Junction. As many of you know, I used to have a logging camp in a town called Switch Junction on the old layout. Problem is, on the new layout, there's no place for a logging camp or a town called Switch Junction. But I didn't want to just eject everything, because those were two of the first scenes that I ever built, and I wanted to do something to keep that vibe alive. So here's what I did. Ta-da! The town of historic Switch Junction. Yeah, baby. This is a museum town. People can come up the dirt road, they can visit the diner, take a look at some old Western kind of structures, kind of go on a tour of the old depot and logging camp structures, just for like a day out, just to hang out with the wife and kids. It'll be a lot of fun, I promise you. But one of the signature scenes here is this track that I put in that doesn't connect to the line at all. It's just for display purposes only. On it though, it's featuring a 2-truck shay that was given to me by my friend Shannon Tapia down in Australia. He weathered it, he put the BSR logo on it, put a little guy driving the train, and it really looks cool. Proud to display it on my layout. Plus I've got my old skeleton log cars, a coal car, passenger car, some other cars that still need wheels and trucks and weathering before the scene is done. But overall, I'm really stoked that I found a place to put this. It adds a little extra interest. It's here on the back side of the line, which other than my through freight that you see here, I'm really never going to use, because this is a point-to-point layout, which you've heard me talk about, we can get into later. But let's revisit my philosophy for how I've built the layout. As you can see, I've got a few flat areas here that just have grass or basic ground cover on it. And that is because I wanted to build the entire layout and cover all that plywood with either paint or ground cover or something. And then later on, I can go through and cut in different scenes. So let me give you a quick tour of that. Right here in front of the camera, way over there, right down the hill from Switch Junction, that will be the future town of Bentleyville. It's already set up where I can cut in a turnout, figure out how I'm gonna build that scene and build some structures and industries there. Right here in front of where I'm standing is, I think, might be the future Port Smith. I think I might try to cut a port in, a smaller version than the one I used to have right here. Back here is Brownsville. I used to have a town called Brownsville back in the day. Right now it's just a bunch of grass, but I already set up where I've got a lead that comes off of that. And then right here in this area, I sort of made this into a campground for right now. I took some of the old logging camp structures, a structure I built for trains.com, and I put in some dirt and ground cover. And right now this is a place people camp. Later on, this is going to be, I don't know, my concrete plant or something. But it's called Caliente Point. Now keep in mind, all this ground cover for these 4 scenes is relatively temporary, so I didn't want to invest a whole lot of time in it, although I went a little crazy up there at Caliente Point. But I developed a technique that I'm gonna patent. It's called speed scenery. Let me show you what I mean. I've got this really rough sub roadbed because I used really crappy material for it because it was cheap or it was left over, whatever. First thing I do is I just douse the thing with full strength white glue. Then I go through and I use 3 or 4 or 5 different colors of ground foam and randomly sprinkle those on. The idea there is to give some kind of variegation to the color that's back there. It's not so boring while we're waiting for a city to be built back in there. Then in some cases I went through and I put in some static grass. Now what I'll do is I'll take one color static grass and randomly sprinkle it on, then another, and then finally, occasionally here and there, I'll just take some dirt, just some regular dirt, and tamp it into the scene. What I'm left with is a scene that from a distance looks pretty good, but if you look real close, you're gonna see the imperfections. You're gonna see some of the plywood still, some of the junk that I'm gonna fix later on, but for now, it serves the purpose. I did it this way because I love rail fanning my own trains, and I don't really love watching them drive over plywood, painted plywood, and unpainted and unballasted track. So right now I can sort of visualize as the trains are running, structures, industries, kind of get an idea for what I want to do down the road. But there are a couple of scenes I did actually finish since the last time we were together. And actually they're right over here. Let's take a look. Okay, so over here at the more completed side of things, I've got a scene I call Riley. I named it after one of my dogs, Riley. Anyway, a little sidebar for you. It features a couple of structures. This is the Brown Smith Global Warehouse. Now, this is something I scratch built in a previous video. You can go back and find that if you're interested in how I did that. This facility here, this compound, is called Star Industries. They make pet food. They receive loads, they send loads. It's a lot of fun. I've switched it out a few times. I'm really happy with it. That's something I did for trains.com. If you go over there, if you're a subscriber to that, you can see how I did it. But one of the cool things is this fence I put around there. I bought me a fence, I think it was
Walters, I think. Woodland Scenics, I can't remember.
Anyway, whatever. The prototype that I was loosely modeling this after has a chain link fence all the way around it, so I put in that chain link fence. Basically, I just took the pieces, glued them down with white glue, glued them to each other with super glue, and then left it the way it is. I didn't paint it, I didn't do nothing. I had some problems with it, but if you want to see more details on that, just head over to trains.com and you can see the full video. One of the cool things I did is I had this space right here I didn't know what to do with, so I just decided I was going to put in a maintenance of way yard. Now I'm also doing that for Model Railroader magazine, so look for that article coming out at some point.
If I ever finish it, I may not. That's just how I am.
Anyway, I'm really happy with that maintenance of way yard, but I'll tell you this, over at the Bentleyville Yard, I'm going to put a bigger maintenance of way yard. We'll take a look at some of my techniques and how I put that together, and just see how easy it is and how much fun it is and how cool it looks when it's done. It's good stuff. Then heading right back down this, I don't know, canyon. I don't know what it is, but it's got this siding on it that I use for switching offs, and I just decided to scenic this out. I just put a bunch of ground foam down, some trees that I bought, and some shrubbery, and pretty happy with the way it looks. I'm gonna say for now, with the exception of a couple of details, and I gotta repaint my road. My road doesn't look very good. But this side of it is finished. And of course, behind all that, I still have the town of Carlington, which could use a good dusting at this point, to tell you the truth, because of all the scenery work I've done. It's got a bunch of dust up on the roads, but we'll take care of that as we move forward. So here's the deal. Got some ideas for some videos coming up in the future. Probably gonna feature that Bentleyville Yard as we build it. But then I have all these other scenes that when we're ready, we can just cut in and figure out what we want to put in, and boom, have some more model railroad to hang out with. So, hey, I hope you enjoyed this quick little tour of what I've been working on and some of the techniques I used here and there. More detailed videos will be coming, but thanks for watching this one. Until I see you again, my name is Steve Brown, and rail on, my friends.